Okay, so what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen are the pairs that we'll be analyzing today, but make sure you do stay to the end of the video because I do have a bonus pair in store. But yeah, guys, we'll go through my trades for the week first and then progress into the analysis. If there is a particular pair you do want to see my analysis too, make sure you do skip ahead using the timestamps below. I had one new trade I took this week. I'm still holding on to the two previous trades from not last week but the week before, shorts on Aussie CHF and shorts on pound yen. So this is the Euro USD position I took just at the end of the week, looking for a swing to the upside. This is one of the setups actually I was referring to last week's analysis. Coming back to test this 1.095 area, which is this daily high here. Still looking for that next high low in Euro USD. Still treating this bearish move as a big pullback and looking to find that next higher low. We've been pretty consistent with those higher lows as of late with Euro. I'm looking to anticipate the next one in that area of confluence. Got a nice entry signal in the 4 hour, and I'm looking to see if I can swing it back to the highs. Of course, I will be trading stops. I don't necessarily have a target up there. That's why I think the trade could play out towards, but I'll be trading below structure and seeing how far I can take it. But the goal of the trade is to try and catch that next higher low and expecting more upside there for Euro. So that's the new trade I took this week. In terms of my previous trades from the weeks before, I'm still holding on to Aussie CHF, which at the moment is in a bit of profit. We saw a nice move to the downside on Monday. Is it Monday? Yeah, Monday. Really nice move to the downside. It's been quite stale and quite sideways since then. I'm looking for continuation. I'm looking for targets around here. This one I will have a take profit for that low if we do get there. I will be trading as well, but if we do get back to this low here, that support level, I will call it a day with that trade because it's a very, very critical level here, 0.56. On the daily chart, weekly chart, the market has respected that level very, very well. So I'm going to try and anticipate a breakout of that when it's been such a critical level. So I will call it a day at that level, but in the meantime, my stop loss is still at break even, which is where my entry was, which is on this candle here. So my stop loss is still at that area. And then when we can start breaking through some lows like so, then I'll start to trail and see how far we can take the trade. But I'm still holding on to Aussie CHF shorts, and then pound yen, I'm still holding on to this one as well. This one hasn't stopped me out yet. It's been very, very close to my stop loss, which is above the wick high here. I entered on this massive 4 hour candle there. Since then, the market has correctively moved to the upside. So I'm still favoring a move down, and we'll go into detail when we do get to pound yen later in the video. But yeah, it's been pretty much sideways, but because it's so corrective, I still do expect us to put that lower high in and drop. It's just whether will it take me out the trade first and then make the move, or will it be kind enough and have this spillover from current price. We'll find out next week. But with the trade management, I'm just going to let price hit my stop loss if it does hit my stop loss, or turn around if it does turn around. There's no active trade management plan I have here. It's just letting the trade play out. I've got the stop loss there for a reason. So that's kind of where I'm at with my positions. So back to Euro USD. So as let's get to FXCM. So as you can see by the trade, I'm naturally bullish on the market, looking for more upside and looking for price to get back to the high here. You come back into a really nice area of confluence, which is retesting the high here. I think if you're looking to swing trade, this is a really nice place for a buy. So if you're looking to get into Euro, let's just move this out of the way. If you're looking to get into Euro next week, potentially if you can get another retest of that area double bottom, there could be some nice entries on the hourly or 4 hour. And if you're looking for that swing, there's a lot of upside potential. Even for a push back to the low here, if you can get pushed to that area, still probably looking at a 1-to-1, maybe a 1-to-2, depending on your risk reward, and that could be a really nice trade in itself, because this is an area where it could be a bit dodgy for Euro and we could see some downside. So maybe locking in some gains or taking some partials when we get to that area could be a smart move. But should we break through that, there's a lot of upside potential. There's another area I would consider being careful of around 1.107. But if you can break through that area, I do think it's onwards and upwards for Euro back to 1.12. So very much very bullish on Euro. And as long as we can hold this area of confluence just above 1.90, 100, we'll call it, I will stay bullish on Euro USD. If we should break through that, then I'll leave that bullish bias alone. And especially if we take out the low here, I'd probably be a bit more bearish in Euro, seeing if we can come back into the lows here, maybe even there as well. So at that point, I might not be looking to short, but I definitely won't be looking to buy Euro USD anymore. So this is kind of the last point of call for me. If we can hold this, that'd be great. I think we come into the 50% of the retracement of that low. So yeah, from the low to the high, 50%. So it's a nice area of confidence. Should we break through that, I won't be interested in the longs anymore. So next week for Euro, bullish bias, looking for upside. If we do come back for a retest, that could be a nice place for an entry. And then yeah, looking for a lot more upside back to, what's that, 1.1, we'll call it 1.1. And then if we can break past that, expecting to see move all the way to 1.1200. So that's the plan next week for Euro USD. Okay, so next up we got USD JPY. So this one is trading at some really nice levels for some shorts, especially if you're looking for a big swing. The market has been bullish over the past few days, making some really nice higher highs and higher lows on the 4 hour. But now we're hitting some big obstacles at 149, 152. And these were two levels I was speaking about last week, which looked good to short. We did see a couple minor reactions at this area, nothing crazy. But the key thing I'm looking at is that the market is now becoming a little bit more corrective, which tells me that eventually I do expect to dive. If not at this level, then at 152, which is an even bigger level on the daily chart. If I scoot to the daily, I'm looking at a swing high here, taking that across 152, or of course, this major high there on the daily as well. Those are the areas I do expect to see some bears step in, especially some buyers exiting the market, taking profits on their move. So with dollar yen, if we are going to continue this bearish move from July and see a continuation of that, these are the areas I expect to hold. If we start breaking through both of them, maybe the market is just going to continue its bullish trend and push back to the high all the way up there at 161. But for now, I'm still retaining that bearish bias, at least at these areas. We might not see the humongous sell-off I'm looking for, but at least a drop where we can look to profit from, even if it is back into this high here. I think from an intra-week, even intraday, that looks like a really nice swing trade or intra-week trade. And then possibly might see some upside from there, or maybe we do get the big sell. But in terms of a smart place to short from, these areas look good. So I'll be looking at price action there early next week. The key thing is that we are quite corrective, so I do expect to see us reverse from here. So entries Monday, Tuesday is kind of what you'd be looking at, and looking for the same thing if we do break through and we push that 152 area, looking for the same thing for the shorts. Respect that area, then a move down, respect that area, then a move down. And again, you don't have to swing it all the way to the low for it to be a profitable trade. That's 800 pips, that's 1000 pips. I'm sure most of you won't be looking for such a big move, but those are the potential. You can leave small positions to run, and of course many areas you can look to take profit along the way, or call it a day. That'll be up to you with your trade management. But in terms of nice places to short, 149, 152 look good, and overall I'm looking still for a push back down to 40 for dollar yen. Okay, so over to dollar CAD. So dollar CAD very bullish this week, unexpected for me. I was looking for a lot of downside for this pair, especially if we could hold on to this 1.36 area, but it did not hold. Price broke straight through that and is looking very bullish. So with this breakout, that completely changed my bias, because I said as long as price stays below that high, I am looking for downside and continuation. Now that we've broken above that, I'm expecting a lot more upside now, at least back into the high here. Roughly around 1.39, 1.385 is where I see price heading towards. So now that we've broken through that, this area has now left behind a solid level of support, which if you do come back and retest, are we looking for entries there to take it back to the upside, to these higher targets. So dollar CAD for me looking like a really nice move, really impulsive. So if we were to see a correction of that, I do expect to see follow through on that move. We are coming back into some resistance here, but again, I'm not really looking to take a sell, not really hitting any big levels. I would rather stick with the buys here, especially if you can pull back into 1.365, 1.36 for some entries. So yeah, dollar CAD really bullish. You can see the angle of this move is just very consistent and very heavy. So I do expect to see retracement at some point next week. Hopefully you can come back and retest the high here around 1.365. Look for entries, and yeah, look and take that right back to where we came from. So at least back to the high here. Let's say we pull back from here, so that would be an obvious target. Or if you're looking to be a bit more optimistic, you can look for the home run back into the high around 1.39 as well, which I do expect the market to hit into. So really nice opportunity there on dollar CAD, like a big double bottom, big break of that neckline. Now looking for the retest and the continuation. Now it's just time to see, will we get that retracement? Will we get that retest? If we do, great, looking for entries and see if we can take it back to the high at 1.39. But that will be the plan next week for dollar CAD. Okay, so now on to euro pound. So euro pound still bearish on. The market is still heading to the downside in the overall trend. If I zoom out, you can see we are still steadily moving to the downside. We've got a really big level on the weekly chart around 0.83, big psychological level as well. And we've kind of just missed out on that area. So I'm kind of looking for us to get a deep test of this big weekly, monthly level. And then possibly we could see another big reversal, because each time we get there, the market sees a lot of upside. So there's a good chance we could see that again, or at least a reaction from that area. So I'm anticipating a big reversal for euro pound in the next coming weeks. But first, I do think we can get there, see a big retest, and then see some upside. So in the meantime, I do think sells is the best way to look at it and look for some shorts. I spoke about this level here last week, 0.38 roughly on the retest of this low. It looks like the market has done a fairly good job at reacting and holding on to that. So if we were to get back there again, looking for some shorts above the looking for some shorts on the retest, but stop loss above the level, and then looking to see if you can take it back into the low there. And of course you've got 0.83 just below, but a push back into support down here looks pretty realistic and reasonable to me. So euro pound definitely not my favorite pair. I'm not a big fan of the price action, not going to make my watch list. But if I'm looking to trade euro pound, I'm looking to attack the shorts until we get back into that big level of support, and then we can speak about the big buys. But for now, still short buys. As long as we can hold on to 0.838, it looks good. And a push down to 0.832 looks pretty realistic for next week. Okay, so now on to Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar, I'm still bullish on. We're looking for a big move to the upside. I spoke about a couple levels last week where buys do look good. This area being one of them, 0.67 roughly, and 0.665. It does look like 0.67 is doing a pretty good job at holding price. And possibly we could be seeing the next bullish move occur and see some upside. I'm still looking for us to get to the high there, but there is some obstacles in our way, which could be points for reversal for Aussie dollar. So I would watch out at around 0.68, pretty big high there. Could form a big head and shoulder pattern as well. But I still do think there's a good chance we could see some upside. But in terms of your trade management, I would be wary of that area. If we were to see a bit more downside and bleed a little bit lower, this looks like a really good place for a buy as well, 0.665. This being our last swing low for the swing high. So this is a really critical point for me. In fact, if price was to go and break through that, I'd probably scrap that bullish bias for now and rethink things and reanalyze the market, because I don't want to see a break of structure, because then that really does invalidate my bullish bias for now. So it's either we push the upside from this area, or I'm not interested in the buys at all. So far we're doing a pretty good job respecting that first low. So if we were to come back and retest it, entries look good there early next week. Looking for some entries, and again, should we break a little bit lower, we can look for entries at that second area. But again, still looking for the same move. As I said, 0.68 is something to be wary of, because it was a pretty strong high in the past. So could be an area where the market reverses again. But if you're looking to really push the trade back to the high, I think that still looks good, but be wary of some of those obstacles along the way. But looking at a lot more upside from Aussie dollar from 0.67 or 0.665 for next week. Okay, so now on to NZD CAD. So NZD CAD I'm pretty bullish on. I'm expecting a lot more upside for this one, possibly a push back to the high over here. And even longer term, possibly a push back to 0.87, 88. Up at the highs there. We've been pretty consistent with these higher lows. In fact, if we go to the weekly, you probably see it better. 1, 2, 3, and I think we can steadily see that push back into that resistance there. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for pound NZD, for NZD CAD. Pound NZD is the next pair. So I am looking at a lot more upside for this one. And in terms of a nice place for a long, I spoke a lot about this area here last week. I said as long as we can stay above that low, I'm going to be bullish on pound NZD, because this is our bullish structure. Push, pull back, push, pull back. Now I'm looking for that continuation. We slightly did break through. We had NZD interest rates, which came out pretty bearish for NZD, so we did see a big drop, but the market quickly reversed after that. So for me, this looks like a big fake out, taking out some traders, taking out liquidity above that, below that low. And now the market is likely ready to see that upside. So I have highlighted this area here because there could be some short-term sells off that level. I'm very bullish, so I'm not going to really be entertained for that opportunity, but on the lower time frame, it could be a nice trade there on the short term. But I'm looking at the buys, so if we were to come back and retest this area, that would be great, or even retest some intraday areas around there. That could look good on the lower time frames, but really what I'm looking at is opportunities to buy NZD CAD. I'm looking to ride that as far as I can take it, trading stops, and hopefully we can probably get a swing back to the high around 0.86. So that is the plan with NZD CAD. So the idea is that we're respecting the low still, this low over here. Market tried to fake through, but it failed. Continued to push higher very strongly. So now if we can find that next high low in that bullish sequence, looking to hopefully ride it back to 0.86 or thereabouts. I'll be trading a stop loss, so whether I get trailed out, I'll get trailed out, but that's where you see the swing heading towards. So that's the plan going to next week for NZD CAD. Okay, so pound NZD up next. So very bullish week for this one. I was looking for some buys on the retest of this area, but unfortunately price just missed it, and it just missed it and didn't come for the retest. But really nice move to the upside regardless. There's two massive swing points we need to be aware of: the high over there and this high over here as well. Despite the bullish trend we have here on pound NZD with these high lows, these are definitely turning points, or can be turning points for pound NZD. So the buys look good. I did talk about some shorts up here. We kind of pinched that area, but we are seeing some downside. Now it looks like we're coming back for the retest of this area. I think this looks like a nice place for a long. Let's see how price reacts with it early next week. Could be some buys right back to the high there again, around 2.15. We could go and break through that and see the next major swing high be tested as well. But I would definitely be very careful as we approach back to this 2.15 area, because it could turn us around. If you look to the past, really big move to the downside. I wouldn't be surprised if we struggle to break through this and see a big reversal from that area, because in the long run I still do see pound NZD rolling over. To me, this looks like kind of the top of this trend, so I do expect us to roll over at some point, but because the market's still retaining this bullish structure, I'm not going to speak too much about that for now. Definitely from an intra-week, intraday point of view, buys are still your best bet, because that's where momentum is, and we're definitely coming back into some nice structure around 2.13. So I like the buys for pound NZD. I'm not expecting anything crazy, but I think a push back to the high there looks really good. Depending on your entry, could be looking at 1 to 2, 1 to 3, maybe even more. So it could be a really great trade in itself. And then we see where we go from there. Maybe we get the breakout, maybe we respect it, but for now, that's the move I'll be eyeing up for pound NZD going into next week. Okay, so over to CAD Yen. So CAD Yen, the yen pair, I'm still very bearish on them. CAD Yen trading at a very critical swing point for me. This high here, I've said as long as we stay below that, I'm looking for a big move to the downside, back to where we came from, which is into this area of support around 103. And at the moment we had a bit of a breakthrough, but the market's recovered that. So as long as we can stay below that, I am looking at us breaking, oh, that's the wrong tool, looking at us breaking to the downsides and seeing a lot more of it. If you're looking for some entries, there's kind of two I'm eyeing up. The break of this area here and then some intraday retest for some shorts, or if you're looking for a bit more of a swing point of entry, this level looks good. Say we come back for another retest and even stops above the level or above the high there, looks really good if you're trying to really capitalize on that big swing back to 103. So it's up to you how you want to tackle this. If you're looking for just the intraday trade, just to take a piece of the pie, or if you're looking for the meat of the move, then entries around 109 look good, stops above the high or above that high look good. And then yeah, targets around the low here or even the low there looks really good as well. So just basically looking for that momentum in July to kick back in. To me, this looks like a pause in the market, and I think we can see that continuation. But the key thing is we need to be respecting that high. If we start breaking through and trending above, then maybe we're going to have a pretty big bullish swing at some point. So I have to rethink things if that was to happen. But for now, these are the two shorts that look good. For me, I would be more focused on this area here, 109, but I know some of you guys will be a bit more intraday, and there could be some nice opportunities on the lower time frames there as well. Of course, I'm trading pound yen at the moment, so I'm not really interested to get into another yen pair until pound yen is break even or I'm out of the trade. But I do like CAD yen, and the downside looks really good as well. So keep an eye on 109 and the break of 108 and the retest of that. But looking for a pretty big move back down to 103, 102 for next week. Okay, so on to pound USD. So pound USD, I really like this one. I was debating between pound USD and euro in terms of looking to buy. I preferred euro, so I've gone with that one. But euro and pound, they pretty much do the same thing. So we'll see what happens with them next week. But in terms of my buys, it's definitely bullish. You can see I've highlighted the bullish trend here. Really nice higher highs and higher lows. Looking for more of the same as we approach this low here. Really important low because this is the swing low that gave us the high. So if we do break through this point, that would be in my book anyway, a break of structure. And then I will be anticipating some more downside, which is not what I'm looking for at the moment. Of course, if we get the break of structure, I'll reanalyze and see if there's some nice short opportunities following after. But for now, because the trend is still very strong, we haven't broken any structure yet. Still coming into a critical area. I am looking for a bounce, at least back to this area here, around 1.326. And maybe if we're lucky, we might see a push all the way back to 1.34, which is the high up there as well. But for me, pound, it's still looking really bullish. I like how price is moving as well. We had a really big drop last week, but since then, the market has been really corrective. So I do expect us to get that break to the upside. It's just about how far we go. Will we get to 1.325 or will we see the full length? You know, that's up to the market. That's up to your trade management, what you're looking for. In terms of a place for entries and to get stop loss behind as well, it looks really, really good for some entries early next week. And possibly we might see the full swing back to the high at 1.342. So that is what I'm looking at for next week for pound USD. Okay, so next up we got pound CAD, which is in a similar state to pound USD in terms of a really clean bullish trend in the daily chart. As you can see, the major swing points, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, so on and so forth. So really clean trend. I've still been bullish on pound CAD, looking for upside until I see an evidence that the market's about to turn around, break of structure, failures at the highs. Then I'll be looking to possibly talk about some shorts. But for now, the trend is still very much up. So this week I was mentioning some buys off this low here, which we just missed out on. Didn't get the opportunity there. I was looking for us to retest that and see some upside, but the market was just way too bullish this week. I think CAD was very, very weak. So it kind of just slowly pushed higher. But now that we're back above 1.785, that to me looks like a really nice place for a buy. Should we get the retest of that, could see the next high low in this sequence and look to target the highs back there again. Now, we have come into a big level here around 1.81. If I go to the monthly chart, you can see this is a really major high in the monthly. And I do think this is a turning point for pound CAD where we can see a bit of a relief in this bullish move. So I do expect that to happen long term. But for now, the trend is still very much up, and that's where the momentum lies. So until I see evidence that we're about to turn around and the sellers are really stepping into the market, I'm going to stay focused with the buys for now and look for another push of that same area. And then we can maybe look for the reversals if things turn around and so on and so forth. But for now, still looking at more upside back into that 1.81 area. Now you can see the market's pretty tight, so I do think it's pretty likely we do get that push down and that retrace. And that will be the opportunity to look for the longs. So if we get there, some entries on the hourly or the 4 hour, and then, looking to swing it back to the high, or even let's say we retrace from here, that alone could be a nice target as well. So if we were to see some downside, take it back to the high there. Again, it's up to your trade management, what you're looking for in terms of your risk to reward and your stop loss and your targets. But generally speaking, because the trend is still very alive and still very strong, we're looking for opportunities to buy and see if we can take it to higher prices. But that will be the plan next week for pound CAD. Okay, so over to pound yen. So pound yen, as I mentioned at the start of the video, I'm still in a trade with this one. My stop loss is just above the high and I'm still looking for a big move down. And again, the thought process is we've had a big drop in July and I'm looking at this as the correction of that for the continuation. Now, market's not moving so clean, but what gives me that confidence that we are likely still to move down is how we're moving here. We saw a lot of momentum to the upside back into the high, but now we're very, very corrective. So if I was anticipating the market to really start to trend to the upside, I want to see a lot more evidence, a lot more momentum, and I will be seeing cleaner highs and cleaner lows forming. Right now, the market is still very corrective. If I scale to the 4 hour, you can still see how corrective we are. So I don't expect this to last for too long before we do see that move to the downside. So if you're looking for some really nice swing opportunities for pound yen, to the downside, that is, I think waiting for the breakout of this channel and then looking for some opportunities on the back of that could provide some really nice entries for some shorts, stops above the high there, and then of course looking to see if you can take it back to the low. It's up to you with your targets as well. As I keep mentioning, it's up to you how far you want to take them. But from a swing bias, if we're going to see the continuation of this bearish, didn't mean to do that. If we are going to see the continuation of this bearish move, then we're likely to see a push back into the low and probably lower prices after that as well. So pound yen to me still looks really nice to the downside. I know we're still pretty consistent with the high lows here, but it's just very, very corrective. So although intraday the buys look good, I don't expect them to last for too long before we do see that bigger bearish move kick in. And if it does kick in and we see price break out the channel really well, some nice momentum like we did over here, then you're looking for your pullback, your shorts, hopefully a retest of the high looks good, or maybe we create some structure and a different type of retest forms next week. But on paper, this looks good at the moment, around 193, and then some shorts back into 184, 181, 180 looks really good. So that's still what I'm looking at for next week for pound yen. Okay, so onto gold. So gold I'm still very bullish on. Still looking for upside back into the swing high, which is 26.85. Still do have the psychological level on my mind there, 2700 as well. So I do still expect upside, and the reason being for that is because the trend is still very much to the upside. The market conditions are still very, very bullish. There's still a lot of momentum alive with gold at the moment, so I'm not looking to try and go against that by any means. And if you are, keep it simple, keep it short, because the buyers are very much in control here. So looking to hold into anything meaningful, any big swings to the downside is always going to be very difficult in these conditions, and trying to call the top on this move. So still very bullish. I did mark out this bull flag pattern here. Looks like the market went through a bigger correction. Now looks like we're breaking through that for a lot of momentum as well. So to me, it looks like the buyers are kicking back in. I did speak about last week buying the breakouts could be a really nice technique with gold if we maintain this bullish trend. I'm not really the type of person who will look to buy breakouts. I'm always going to look for the retest, but in these conditions, we could really fly. Gold might not give us the retest. I mean, I've been looking for the retest of this area here, never happened. Look for the retest of this area, never happened. So buying those breakouts are effective when the market is really, really bullish or really, really bearish, which kind of is what gold is in. But if we can get a retest of this area, that'd be great. And then see the continuation. You got targets back at the high there, or you got 2700 if you're feeling a little bit more optimistic, or you can just trail and just see how far gold takes you, because who knows, it could be a really big swing and gold just might fly again. That has literally been a theme for gold the whole year pretty much. So looking for buyers in gold in these conditions is never a bad idea. It's just about timing the market well, finding some nice stop losses so you don't get faked out, and making sure you're really maximizing your rewards by allowing that upside to be filled. So in my book, gold looks good for some buys. Hopefully nice breaking retest of 26.57 more or less, 53 can come into reality next week, and hopefully gold doesn't just fly. But it looks like we have had a pretty clean break out of this bull flag, so I'm now expecting momentum to pick up at least back to the high, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, expecting more upside for gold next week. Okay, so now on to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's still loving life in this descending channel. Again, similar to gold as well, if Bitcoin is getting ready for a big breakout to the upside, and this is just a big bull flag pattern, the market's going for a bit of a pause after the momentum we had at the start of the year, that could be the reality. But let's wait for the breakout first, like we did with gold. If Bitcoin does break out and we see a big break above the high there, then we can talk about the buys and retests, and at that point we'll probably see a really big move, something similar to this. So there'll be a lot of upside to take advantage of, and we're looking for those retests and those entry patterns to get into the longs. But for now, since price has really respected the high of the channel multiple times, there's a good chance that again pushing back to the high, I'm still looking for the move down back to more or less 50k as well. So that's still very much my thinking with gold, with Bitcoin, sorry. If we push back into 64 or back into 66 and retest the trend line, these two areas look really good for shorts. Just waiting for some key rejections, some key entry signals to get involved and take it back into the low. And the risk reward looks really good if it plays out. If you get some entries at one of these two levels, stop losses above the high, you're looking at some really nice risk rewards back into the low, like we did over there, like we did over there as well. So with Bitcoin, still very bearish, expecting us to remain in the channel until we don't, basically. And if we do get the breakout, then I'll speak about the retest the high here, maybe the retest of this high, and we'll get into a lot of detail about the buys, and I'll be expecting a lot of momentum. But for now, still pretty bearish. If you're looking to get involved with Bitcoin, my focus would be on the 64 and 66 area for the shorts. And if you get the entries, good, look and take it all the way back down to the low, and just expecting those swings to continue until we finally see the bigger move happen. But for now, that is very much the plan for next week with Bitcoin. Okay, so last but not least, we've got our bonus pair, which for this week is Aussie Yen. So very similar opportunity to Pound Yen, which we looked at not long ago. Again, it's another yen pair, of course, they tend to do the same thing anyway. But we've had a really big drop again in July, big push there. And again, I'm looking at this as the correction of that for some downside. And we had a lot of momentum over the past weeks, but we're becoming really corrective as we've just about breached this high. And the key thing I'm looking for Aussie Yen is the same thing for Pound Yen as well. The breakout of this corrective price action, and then looking for that continuation to the downside. And if you were to see that break, I'm expecting a lot lower prices, a push to 94, a push to 91, and beyond that really. So there's a lot of downside there for Aussie Yen should we see these moves. But you can see how corrective price is. Typically when we're seeing reversals and big moves, we're seeing a lot of momentum, strong candles, decisive price action. The fact is, yes, we are breaking through that high slightly, but we're still corrective. So that leads me to believe we'll probably see a big strong move down. And if that does happen, then the opportunities afterwards look good. And I'm expecting a lot of momentum, because when the yen pairs sell, they really do sell. So I'm expecting a lot of momentum, push to 94, push to 91, and then we can speak about beyond that at later dates. But for now, I'm looking for the breakout. And if I'm wrong and we see some strong bullish momentum come into the next week for the yen pairs, then of course I'll start to reanalyze and probably look for some buys. But at the moment, still looking for the shorts and maybe a retest around 99.8. If you can get that, looks good. And like I said, 94, 91 look like really nice targets from a swing perspective. And that, guys, does take us to the end of the video. If you have found it useful, please let me know. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Drop a comment, any pairs you're looking at. Let me know what you think about my analysis. Are you on the same page? Are you looking at different things? Let me know. And hit the bell, of course, so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Elevating Traders is very soon to launch, so make sure you're in the Discord to that. Links in the description to that. Discount opportunities will be available there, so make sure you don't miss out. But guys, enjoy your Saturday, enjoy your Sunday, and I'll catch you all in the next one.